Welcome to EJH British Cars. And today we're going to work on the cowl in the windshield area, front cowl. So while we were taking it off, the driver's side screws were very difficult, and having to use an impact driver on the screws has caused the edge of the metal to push in a little bit where the plate is around the holes in the side of the cowl. So I'll show you that, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to try and relieve that problem. So here's the front cowl area. We also have a problem here. The two bolts for the hinge for the flap here are busted off, so we're going to need to try to get that apart. And also this right here is pushed in, and you can't really see it just looking at it, but I did make up a couple of templates here. So you can see the daylight behind that, and this is a front template. You can also see the gap there, right where the holes are in the sheet metal. So this is what they call a slide hammer. I bought this at Napa Auto Parts probably 30 years ago. I don't know if this part number is any good anymore. It's 7753911 slide hammer puller set. Came in a nice steel box, which I've managed to get plenty dirty over the years. And the plan is this. Behind this piece of metal, there's a heavier piece of steel. And it's basically a flattened figure eight. And it also has the nuts that go in through here in them. So what I want to do is use that slide hammer and try to get back there, particularly on these two ends, and slide it out. Now the thing to remember with body work, 4 small hits are far more productive than 1 big hit, because you just want to move everything slowly. And if you move it slowly, you'll be surprised to find how often this metal wants to return to the shape that it was in. So I'm hoping that that finger is going to fit in there, but we'll find out. Now, we've got lucky. This just barely fits. So this is, I don't know how much you can see from there, but this is that little piece of that finger sticking up. That'll go in through there, and it turns about 45 degrees, so we can catch the end. And then, here we go. I don't know if you can really see that, but it is starting to move a little bit. We want to move the whole thing. And we'll do it from top and bottom. Oh yeah, that's really starting to move now. And those are not very hard hits. It's nice, I can actually get up behind there from underneath this edge. We'll try, this is just using that as a fulcrum. So when I'm using, this is just a pry bar, but I'm putting it right along where this zigzag is, so it's nice and strong right there. I think I got most of it out. So this is a nice straight edge, and I run it up all the way along here. This thing is very straight front to back. There's tiny things, particularly right in here, but this gets covered. When I put my templates on, I'm very good here, but I've got a bit of a gap just in here. And I think that's more that this portion of the cowl sits a little differently from that. And I don't see any damage up here, crash damage. So I'm thinking that that's just a variation in the sheet metal. And I don't really think that it matters that the windshield sits back here and it's got a huge rubber gasket on it. Here is just the chrome hinges for the bonnet here. Then of course you get the big pieces of metal here that are the window stanchions, and you can see it must kind of go like that. So, and it's pretty flat. So I think I'm just going to leave that as it is. You know, there's that old saying, if you mess with something long enough, you will screw it up. And I'm starting to feel like I'm getting to that point where certainly I've made this much better. And if you look at here's my rear template. That's all beautiful down there. And then you see that gap that's right there. And you see it touches right there. And there's a body brace here. So there's a piece of metal that runs from here back to here, and it holds, it's where these, it's strengthening for the hood hinges. This plate is strengthening for the hood hinges, and I suppose the windshield too. There's also this piece of wood in the front. I put one screw in it because there is nothing holding this wood to this cowl right now, and I don't know whether these holes that are in the cowl were supposed to just be screwed in, or whether that's screwed in when you put, there's a little crash pad there, you know, like a right angle piece with foam and padding, it goes right there. And I'm thinking that because all these are missing and there's holes in the wood, there's not metal in the wood, that I'm thinking that when you put that piece on, it's what holds this piece of metal down. I'll probably do a little research on that. And then I still got to straighten this edge up a little bit. As you can see, these are notches so you can bring the fender up and in and back. And they're a little wonky. I'll straighten those out because the fender comes up to here, of course. So the other thing, I've had a request from a viewer to show how I'm stripping the paint. So I haven't been showing that because I probably went over it a long time ago. It's figure you guys don't want to keep seeing me doing boring stuff. So I'm going to go quickly through that and just clean up a little area here, and that'll be it for today. So this is a 4.5 inch flap wheel. It's on a Hercules Harbor Freight angle grinder, 4.5 inch angle grinder, which is actually pretty nice. And I'm wearing hearing protection because these things are noisy. So this is what I use in basically flat areas, like this. As you can see, that goes pretty fast, and it leaves a slightly scuffed up surface, so it's ready for when you're going to put paint on. Gives it a bit of adhesion. Of course, there's more prep to do before we put the paint on. I'm lazy, so I have multiple grinders, so I don't have to keep changing these things over. So this is a DeWalt 4.5 inch angle grinder with this is a multi knotted wheel that I usually use one that has about half as many, but I thought I'd try one of these. This is not quite as fast, but it's a bit finer. And this is really good for like this area here, where you've got multiple contours going like that. So the other thing you should note while you're using this, these wires come off a lot and they will stick right into you. So you definitely want to be wearing eye protection. Probably better to wear a big pair of gloves and stuff, but it does do a really nice job fitting into these tight spots. So this is my surface conditioner, and I'm using, I don't know what they call these, is it open weave paint stripping wheel? The other wheels I have are this more like flaps of Scotch-Brite. But this is really nice. See, there's a few spots here where there's still some bits of paint and stuff. And particularly, I tell you, these flap wheels work really well on a curved surface, but when it's dead flat, it's hard to get them to cover. But this is what I use on here. Also been using this really tiny belt sander. This is really good for like reaching in behind things. Well, this is good for like reaching into this pocket, reaching down in here. You know, just all kinds of funny little crevices. I wouldn't want to try to strip a whole car with a 3/8 wide piece of sandpaper, but it's handy. I'm also using this angle grinder, and this right now has a sanding disc on it, but it also has available these stripping discs, and these are handy. So this is kind of good for areas like that when you're doing a larger area and you don't want to just do it with the wire brush. I'm also using a good old-fashioned DA. I don't suppose that really needs any explanation, but this is good in big flat areas that the flap wheel's not so good at. So I thought I'd show you a little bit with this. So this has got an adapter. It just has these coarse plastic threads. They're really pretty handy. They change on and off really fast. You can really go through these pretty quickly because the speed on this is pretty high. This heat metal has a little lip. This is the defroster, and the flap wheel will tend to grind that away. So here it is, all stripped and buffed, and dents removed, and we're ready to pickle it and get it ready for paint. So you can see we got this area pretty good. There's a couple of little ripples here, undulations that we'll fix with a little bit of plastic later. But overall, it looks nice. Well, there it is. Cleaned, stripped, painted, welded, undented. I even managed to get the front two screws out of the cowl flap. I'm gonna have to drill those two out. The problem with this is there's a piece of metal right here that makes the plenum for the fresh air. And short of disconnecting it from all here, I can't get to the bottom of these because there's actually a fair amount of thread showing, but there isn't any way to undo them from the bottom. Sort of, maybe, I suppose I could drill some big holes in here and then weld them back in, but I might as well I'll just drill them out, and that should be fine. That's basically everything from the firewall forward complete, including the cowl. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, join, drop me a line. I try to answer all the comments because unfortunately for me, I don't get so many that it's overwhelming. And we will see you next time. Boy, it's nice standing here. There's a breeze and shade right here. It's been hot as all heck up higher on the pad.